Tell us about the Hit Squad.
Yeah, so the Hiit Squad, so we're in our 9th year now. Started back in 2016. I'm a builder by trade. Did my building apprenticeship when I left school, and then I was working here in Christchurch and then working on the rebuild. That was obviously the rebuild came into play throughout that process. And then, working here, plodding away. And then, I just went overseas and did some fly in, fly out building work over in a little island called Nauru, which is in like Micronesia. And got into running fitness over there, and came back and I guess happened organically. Started running some sessions and training at a gym, and then they asked me to run some sessions and grew from there. And July the 1st, 2016 was first official class here in Christchurch, and first official Hiit Squad class. And then this year, 1st of July, we'll be turning 9. So bit of a whirlwind journey, really.
Wicked. And so was fitness always a big part of your lifestyle before?
No, actually wasn't. No, I didn't even study PE when I was at school. I guess I was in that phase when I left school, I guess we want to be like strong and fit or whatever it may be, those young teenage years. And I enjoyed fitness, and I guess I didn't really know if I enjoyed helping people or just training myself. And that's probably something a lot of trainers sort of, they might be just love training themselves, but not actually training other people. And when I went away, I actually just really enjoyed. So what happened was when I was working away, we had this big, we had a wet mess, like a pub. And at night time, everyone would be out there drinking. And I was like, it's not really my jam, And we had access in a big workers camp. They had a big AstroTurf and I had a little weights room. And I was like, oh, guys, we could do some circuits out here, And I went out and started training by myself, and then one or two more guys, started joining in. And I didn't really know what I was up to, but we just had like time-based workouts, and we had bugger all, to be honest. We had like mostly body weight and some scaffold tube and that. And then, basically it grew. And then by the end of the time of me being away, like 2.5 years, it went from me training by myself to 2 or 3, and then, then to 20 or 30 guys every night, Monday to Friday, that I was on the island at night time. And I'd have guys that come away and they'd be like, obviously being back here. And I was away just being young and working to like earn money and have an experience. But these guys were working away to 4 to 6 weeks at a time. And some of those guys didn't want to be there. They might have had like financial, things go wrong here financially, or, split up with their wife or partner and, they were financially under stress. So guys were away for different reasons. And my whole thing was just to be there for a good time, So, and then over that time, I saw guys that would say, hey, look, it'd be like you coming to me saying, hey, Matt, like I'm going to try and give up smoking this, 4 to 6 weeks on my way, and I want to get in training. And then at the end of that time, I'd say, how'd you get on? You'd be like, look, mate, I've dropped 4 or 5 kilos. And I was like, shit, I started to get a real buzz off it, eh?
Yeah.
And then when I came home in 2016, like the time sort of was right. I'd been away and I was just to save money and bought my first house. And I was like, oh, what do I do? And I didn't really want to go back. It was 2016, peak of the rebuild. And I was going like, oh, what am I up to? And I didn't really want to go back to building like I did, but, obviously great money building here in Christchurch at that time. And I was like, it's not really me. Like it is me. I love building, but I really enjoyed the fitness side of it. And, came back and then had a couple of opportunities at the gym I was training at to run their boot camps. And they said, hey, do you want to run them every week for us? And then the rugby team, the Sydney Rugby Club said, oh, would you take our boys for some sessions? And then it kind of just grew, So really fast, but also really organically. And I actually studied, believe it or not, on the street that we're on now. The New Zealand Institute of Health and Fitness used to be on the block over.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Full circle.
Full circle.
Yeah, right. What about when you're in high school? Did you always want to be a builder?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So my older brother was a plumber, and I wasn't really an academic at school. I chose pretty much every subject that you didn't have an exam. And
nice.
Woodwork, art, graphics, all of that kind of stuff. And I enjoyed all that kind of stuff, like hands-on, and didn't really enjoy school as such for the theory side of it or academic side of it. And then when I left school, I was kind of like my brother. So at the time, my brother, he was 3 years older than me. And school holidays, I just go and help out for the builders that he was working for. And it was pretty cool. We did heaps of like hospitality work, so like all the pubs around town, the Fox and Ferrets and that. And I really enjoyed it, eh? And as soon as I left school, actually in my year 12 to 13 year, the company that I worked for over the school holidays, they like took me away, like we were working up in Picton on like it's called the Yacht Club up there. And I loved it. Yeah. So when I left school, I was kind of like, at that point in time, building was something I loved. But then they didn't really offer things like they do now. Like I think now, like I tried to actually do my building apprenticeship theory in my year 13 year, and they said no. But now I believe that that's part of what you can do in your year 13 year. So you kind of like leave school with a pre-trade. But yeah, no, I loved it. I just loved building it. It was awesome.
If I could interrupt the podcast for one moment to say a big thank you to one of our sponsors, Tom Hardy from White Fox. Tom's a friend of mine, and I've also worked with him personally to sell one of my properties. Tom is an absolute legend, a great guy, and if you're in the market to buy or sell real estate in Christchurch, I'd recommend getting in touch. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, yeah. And then, so Hiit Squad, so 9 years. That's a good stint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind time, but like for us, because we started ourselves here, like the Hiit Squad it's us. We're our own independent company. We're not like, I'm not saying like any 45 or like a franchise business as such where, you go, hey, I want to invest and buy into this and start my franchise. They're like, here's a book and how it runs. And back in the day, like when we first began, we had like, we used to have people would come in and they'd pay like $8 a session. It was, or $80 for a 10-pass concession or $10 for a one-off. And when everyone used to come in, I'd have like a little clicker, and I had some business cards made, and it was like a concession card, and I'd click it to say that you'd been, and I'd text you, and then nothing really. All the systems we have in place now are things we've learned along the way, but it was kind of like we learnt from our mistakes. So yeah, it's been very, like organic, as I say.
Yeah, nice. Has it evolved much in terms of the actual structure though, like the technology and the processes of changed?
Yeah, I think now lots of things are a lot easier. Like there's pretty much a system for anything you want to do now. And for terms in us and like in our classes and how we run our programs, like because we're independent, we can change our stuff to suit. So we're not like, we don't have programming for someone else or an affiliate as such. So we just change our stuff as we go. So we've kind of gone with when different things come in, or, like High is a big thing now. So we've gone down that avenue. And, there's like different things in like strength training and stuff as well. But we just try to be different, that we don't have barbells, because I think for a lot of gyms now, it can be quite confusing or intimidating for people, especially new to fitness. Like if you weren't into, I guess you were just learning out or starting out at the gym and you walked in, and there's a whole lot of like guys with their top off throwing barbells from above their head, you might be a bit scared, but we try and be that, I guess people can come in quite welcoming, and whether no matter what fitness level you're at, we've got kettlebells and dead balls, and they're effectively all relatively the same size, but I'm not going to be looking at your stuff going, oh, he's lifting this much or I'm doing that. It's kind of like, we're not really like that. It's kind of like, we've got a lot of people that come that have either played sport before or, have played at a high level sport, so they'll come along to push themselves. But when you get to our age, at the end of the day, you just want to be able to type your laces and run around the block,
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So here's a big question for you. What do you reckon the next 9 years will be like?
Oh, I don't know. To be honest, there was a few years ago, if you had asked me that question, I would have said, hey, look, we want to keep growing. But it's quite scary, like in the fitness industry now. There's a lot of gyms shutting down, like lots of the franchise gyms, like F45, for example, was a big one. And that's like, I kind of feel sorry for them, or guys that have brought into franchises, and they're just struggling to make ends meet. When I guess interest rates went up, the first thing that people stop is gym memberships, because they can save money quick. And it's hard for us to compete when you've got like a City Fitness now for like $7 a week. So, like lots of guys, like, obviously that if you do value your fitness, you'll value, coming to the gym like us, but it's hard when you've got to compete with that. And that's when, so a few years ago, I would have said, hey, we want to keep growing and, branch out, not necessarily franchise out, but have another location or grow from there. But now I kind of guess just making sure we've got our systems in place, which we're doing a lot better at. And, we've kind of got roles systemized that if, a staff member leaves, we can make it systemized. The next person walks in. Easy, but I think just battening down the hatches really, and making sure we can do what we do and do it well. Yep. I would have hated to have expanded and had a second location and really struggled. I see so I've had I had a friend's gym up in Auckland a few years ago, and they had a second location, and they basically just had two gyms and were doing them not very well, rather than having one and just focusing on doing it really well. So I think that's the biggest thing for us, is sticking to, being the brand that people know and just doing what we do and doing it well.
Yeah. And just refinement.
And just sharpening up everything we can do. And I know you've been in for a session yourself recently, but we try and be like pristine, that you can come in. It's very clean in our gym, and like all our gear is well maintained, and we just do, the trainers have all got jobs, so they all work with us for a set amount of hours. Like they're not like, they don't get paid per class, so they're not like a rush. They're not, their whole goal is not to rush the job, rather than some gym trainers or gyms do that, where they pay the trainer per class. So our guys are all on wages, so they come in and it's more that they can, give time to you, because they're not like, hey, I've got to go.
Yeah. Totally.
So, I've kind of found that's probably been the best thing with our staff and building a good team of trainers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting industry, right? Like just the phases that people go through and the trends. And just I don't know. It's
definitely, and
right?
I think like like now, like in other types of fitness, like Pilates is blowing up. Like reformer Pilates is everywhere. They're everywhere. They're all down the street. They're all around town, and people are like, whoa, like, and it's big money that people invest in it. And I guess, you've got to get amongst it while you can. And lots of those places are independent as such that they're their own brands and they can change. If it goes away from reformer machines, they can go to mat Pilates or yoga or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess but it is scary. Like, things do change. Years ago, when HIIT became big, it was because Les Mills was the big pusher of that, and they promoted their grit classes. And that's kind of turned into like, that helped build the F45s and that when their name got out there.
Yeah.
And then they kind of went away from it a couple of years ago and said, hey, look, you need to do more strength training to offset HIIT, like high intensity training. But that was because, like the Les Mills and that try and keep people inside their four walls, Because, grit classes were the thing back in the day.
Right.
Got
it. Yeah.
So,
Interesting. Have you done a Pilates class yourself?
I actually have. I kind of struggle a bit, to be honest, because my feet are too big for the platform. But no, I've done it a couple of times. But I enjoy it, but I don't do it well enough.
No.
I enjoy more like the hot style yoga.
Oh yeah.
Just a bit of like flow and get a sweat on at the same time. I've done. Yeah. What about you?
No, I haven't done it yet myself, but yeah, as you say, it is everywhere. So it's a matter of time. Right?
A matter of time. Yeah,
I like to try these things.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and like lots of people now try and do that. But fitness in the big scheme of things can be exciting. Like it's not one dimensional, like, and lots of people now, we've got guys that come to us on a concession card and they might come 2 or 3 times a week, but they want to do it so that they can go to a City Fitness and do weights, or they might go somewhere else and to go to a boxing class, Pilates, they might go running, like there's things, it's so exciting,
Yeah, it's cool, right?
Yeah, real cool.
Yeah, I think as you can attest, right, like it's such a, like it's the first domino, I think, in my mind, right? Like if your fitness is good, then your mind's good, and everything just sort of flows on from there.
Yeah, definitely. And like for me and myself, we have classes that start at 5 a.m. And when we first began, we had a skeleton timetable. That was when we moved to our new location where we are now. And I was like, I would love to build a 5 a.m. class, like get it going. And then we kind of tried it out at the start, and I was like, this is going to be hit and miss, like how easy is it to press snooze, And then now, like 5 a.m. is one of our busiest class times. Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, tradies or parents, it's like optimum time to get out and train.
Totally.
And like for someone like yourself, even like, you go out and your phone's not going off.
I know.
You can,
I love it.
Yeah. And on my days off, I actually love training at 5 a.m. and I'll go home and get admin done. Like one, I've ticked the box, so the endorphins are like, fizzing.
Yeah.
And you can get home and you're so productive.
So good.
But then if you have a bad day, for example, your day stretches out. Being a tradie and you get your workout done before you go to work, perfect. You go to work and you have a tough day on the tools, the last thing you're going to feel like doing is going to the gym.
Not at all, right? Yeah.
Every excuse.
100%. Yeah. Especially when it's like this weather outside, right?
Oh, mate. Yeah. It's not good, is it?
Yeah. What about your own fitness? Do you...
Yeah, I try and mix it up a bit. I played rugby the last couple of years, which I probably shouldn't have, but I had like 9 years hiatus from rugby, and I played for the last couple of years, which was quite cool. But before that, I did some different stuff outside of the gym. So I did some like multi-sport.
Oh yeah.
Got into that for a couple of years. Did the coast to coast twice, and I really enjoyed that. Just doing different, different sort of stimulus to that, but. Also, like being in the gym is epic. I love being around people and that high energy vibe. But then sometimes, like, I just love to train by myself and, like listen to music and just get out for a run. So I've been doing lots of running at the moment again, but I still have a few like old rugby injuries that come back to haunt me. So I'm not a big fan of like lifting weights as such or being strong. I just try and be, what I'd call fit or, functional. So but yeah, I just enjoy getting out, walking the dogs, going for a run once or twice a week. And yeah, I get to the gym, get into our classes, try and do one a day or one every couple of days, but most of the time one a day. And then currently training for a high rocks competition in July.
Oh yeah.
I did that back in February, which is pretty tough sort of training, but it's right up our alley of what we do at the Hiit Squad. So
yeah, pretty similar, right?
Real similar.
Yeah.
Real similar. And when high rocks came out, I was like, shit, like. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear there.
That's okay.
When High Rocks came out, I was like, it's exactly what we do. And a few years ago, like people left us to go and do like weight style training. and getting into like CrossFit and that. But now all the CrossFit boxes are offering high rocks, which is like burpees and running, which is what people left us for.
Yeah,
you know,
funny,
so
funny, right?
it's kind of it's different. But we just for us, we didn't really. We could have stayed just being the Hiit Squad running high rock style classes, because we've got classes that aren't called high rocks, but we've signed up to be an affiliate so we can use that their name.
Oh yeah.
But we could have stayed independent and not called it that. But for us now, like, it's a good thing to offer and have on the timetable that we're, you know, registered affiliate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but our classes, we do them a couple of times a week, and yeah, it's so similar to what we do. And I know a lot of people do get put off by it because they go, you know, they think of running, but there's obviously options you can have instead of that. But the high rocks, you know, obviously thing itself is based on, like, you know, 1K runs 8 times. So it's built for runners, you know, not built for people like me, but I'll have a crack at it.
Where's the next one? Where's the event?
We're doing one in Sydney in July.
Oh, the Sydney one. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
but it's a big money maker for them, you know, like they did it in Auckland at the start of the year and it was a sellout, and they think they had like 6,500 people, and you know, you're paying close to $200 a ticket, and then they charge for spectators and that too. So from them, it's like more of a, you know, they're an event company, I guess. But fitness is a byproduct of that, and yeah, they just create demand, and it's, you know, people are in behind it.
Where's it from? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I think it might be the UK. I believe,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but they just a travelling roadshow, eh?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Far out.
You work the math out, they make pretty good money.
Yeah, but, you know, will it last? That's the question.
Well, I don't know. I think, though, you know, it's like people I've heard, I've listened to actually a couple of other podcasts, and they talk about it. But they say, you know, like, because it's the same, they do the same test every time you go. But people can upskill by going to the next category. But also, you know, like when the Olympics is on, they don't change the Olympics every time they have the Olympics. You know, people go and try and be better at that time or what their chosen discipline is. Yeah. And I guess that's what they're trying to do now, and they're just on that while they can, you know. And if they create demand, which they do, but they're like, we're an affiliate, so you get like a early bird ticket release. Oh, yeah. So then it encourages people to be affiliates. So that's, you know, another one. And then people miss out. So if you wanted to do it and you're trying to jump online and you can't get a ticket, what are you going to do? You're going to be like, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to an affiliate gym, or, you know, you'll do everything you can not to miss out next time.
Yeah, right.
So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Tough Mudder phase. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, big time. They're still around, though.
Is it? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
But you don't hear much about it, though, do you?
No, you don't. No. What kind of, So, yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. What about the running?
Oh, and the high rocks?
No, for yourself. Like, any races?
I've just been doing little ones around like local events. I just did the Skedaddle Trail Run out in North Canterbury. Shout out to them on the weekend. It was epic event.
Cool, nice.
And I've actually got bad knees. I got arthritis in one of my knees from rugby, and I was doing lots of the multi-sport training like a few years ago, like I said, and I was training for the longest day on the coast. I actually had to pull out it was going into 2022. So that 2021 year, I was training pretty hard, and I pulled out of that because my knee just flared up, and it never really settled. And I was going through a phase of getting it drained every week, like fluid taken out of it. And I was like, I'm fighting everything, you know, trying to be a runner, and like my body weight doesn't help, you know, so much pressure going through my joints. And I started dabbling like I do. Yeah, I've done like a few, you know, Queenstown half and that a few times. And then recently I've been like, look, I'm just going to focus on that sort of like 10 to 15K distance. And I signed up for the Skedaddle, which is a trail run out in North Canterbury. It's pretty cool. They do like a 10K, a 15K, a 30K and a 40K. And we work quite closely with the event team that organises it, and because they're in behind helping with the Christchurch Marathon and also the Vine Run, which is like a fun run out in North Canterbury. Oh, yeah. And the Skedaddles, all the money raised for the Skedaddle goes to conservation in the area. Oh, wow. Cool. And it's on the big Island Hill station out in Balmoral Forest. And I signed up to the 15K. And I was like, perfect. So, yeah, I signed up, and then I told everyone, I was like, I've signed up for the 15K. And they're like, you've picked the worst event you can do.
Oh,
it's like,
really?
Yeah, so it's only 15K, and but with it, there's like 900 or 800 meters elevation. Oh, man. But it's only over like 3Ks. And so on the weekend, I was like, perfect, going through these undulating hills, and then we hit the 3K mark, and then we started climbing, and it was sponsored by Lecky, which is like they do the mountain poles. Yeah. And I looked at my watch, it was like 4.2K, and my heart rate, I was like walking, it was like 172 beats a minute. And the lady beside me was like pushing off her thighs. And I looked up and the sign said like, Lecky, it's like, you wish you had your poles, eh? Oh. And I was like, if they had Paywave and poles for sale, I would have brought some. And all I remember them saying at the race briefing was, you know, you're at the summit when you hit 7Ks. And I was like, we've got 3 more Ks of this. Wow. Straight uphill, but amazing when we got to the top, and then it was all downhill. So, wow. But yeah, I put myself in a dark hole for that one. But yeah, but I'm gonna next in terms of running events, nothing much really for the winter. I'm helping out at Hawke's Bay Marathon with ASICS in a couple of weeks' time. So heading up there just to help at the expo, but not going to run it. But you'll be up there, and then we'll focus on coming into Queenstown for the end of the year. So start back in August. So sort of take a break for winter.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like the weather's like out there today, it's not really ideal running conditions.
Nah, not really.
Nah, what about you? A bit of running?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I did the Christchurch Full.
Yeah, oh yeah, you did it. Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago, so that was cool. Yeah, pulled through.
PB time, eh?
PB, but just out of 2. So,
yeah.
No, stoked with how it went, based on the amount of training.
Yeah.
I got lucky.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, no injuries.
Yeah.
Really
and you like the Christchurch event?
Yeah.
Pretty hectic, eh?
It was okay.
Yeah.
I think, I like the Queenstown one.
Yeah.
I did the Auckland half last year.
Yeah, wicked.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
But
it's tough on the rolling hills, eh?
Yeah, that bridge.
Yeah,
but a good event up there. Yeah.
I think like destination running events make it so much more enjoyable when you're away.
So much different,
you know, because like you're all together and you want to go for like a celebration drink afterwards.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
away, and like Queenstown, we found that cool to like train for an event because you know, like so many people are like, oh, I'm in Christchurch. You know, I could do a half anywhere, so I could do it in my backyard.
Yes.
You know, and not have to pay or whatever. But I'm like, it's the whole vibe. You know. I found Christchurch this year was like real. Obviously, the weather was great, so it was real good vibe down there on the course. But going away like Queenstown, you got all your mates, and you might do like a winery tour in the afternoon.
Exactly.
Or, you know, it's a real good vibe.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good excuse to travel around a bit too, right? Like I'm doing
100%.
the Wellington half in June actually.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
awesome.
Yeah, haven't done that one before. So,
No.
Yeah, just
hopefully some good weather though.
I know.
Yeah.
I did the Dunedin half a couple of years ago now, and you know what Dunedin's like, right?
Yeah.
But it was actually all right.
Yeah, wicked.
A bit windy, but not too bad. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I was going to ask you about the brand deals actually. So you do a bit with couple brands, right?
and ASICS. So, So it's kind of I guess when I first started out, I didn't really know much about that kind of stuff that was going on with the brands, and when I first began, a big one. For me, it was Lululemon. So they're obviously really big in the community. They're obviously quieting down a lot now, but when they first began, to be honest, they're half of the reason why I first began the gym. And I was just running classes at the gym that I was at, Atlas Gymnasium, just around the corner on Disraeli Street for them, and doing my own thing, just effectively renting their space. And I went into Lululemon one day to buy a pair of shorts, and this lady's like to me, "Hey, would you want to run a class?" And they used to run these classes on Sunday, like community, and they'd move all the racks out of the way. And I went in, and then I don't know, about a month later, they said, "Hey, do you want to come on this like leadership course?" And they'd picked like 10 guys from around Christchurch, and I went there and for Lululemon, I was invited along, and that's kind of how I got pushed into. They like all about development, and they asked me. This guy I had a conversation with said to me about, why hadn't I started a gym? And anyway, that kind of turned into some like tough convos over that period of this day that we were together. And from there, like big ups to them. They put me on the course. I didn't really know it was gonna, I guess, change my life. Eh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. So the guy Joel Bouzade up in Wellington, he was delivering the workshop. So he actually came down for a team building day with the Lululemon staff. And then with me, there was 10 guys from around Christchurch, all different guys from in the fitness industry. And when I had to introduce myself, he's kind of said, like, what do you want to do? I said, hey, look, I want to be like these guys here, and one day open a gym. And I got up and said, what I was doing now, like currently a builder, and I'm studying PT 2 days a week and doing some contract building. And he said, well, why aren't you starting a gym? And I was like, oh, look, I said, I'm just scared, Sat down for lunch, kind of like just like we are now. And he came and sat beside me, and we had Bacon Bros with there. So we were having a wee burger, and he said to me, look, you're going to tell me by the end of this lunch session why you haven't started a gym.
Ooh, I
was like, okay, like whatever, And then he came back and he goes, no, I'm serious. You've got 10 minutes. And he's like, I want you to tell me why you haven't started a gym. And I was like, who the hell is this guy?
What's going on here?
What's going on? And he's like, so we went through it together, and he's like, look, if you were to sign a lease now, he's like, what's the worst that can happen? He's like, you've actually got nothing to worry about. He's like, the fear in your head is only coming from you.
Oh,
and he's like, and I was like, whoa. And I was like, he's like, look, if it doesn't work, he's like, you can always lease the building out. You can go back to building full time.
Yeah.
You could be a builder all throughout the day, and you just run classes morning and night. He's like, you're actually scared of nothing right now, Matt. And he's like, you need to just trust yourself and go out there and do it. But at that point in time, like my mum and dad, my family members knew that I could make good money building. So they were kind of like, hey, you can stay with your safe avenue. And, you know, not saying that my parents, you know, doubted me for that, but they want to do what they know is going to work. They don't want to see you fail. And, that was I guess, the point that changed everything in me. And then about a week later, I signed the lease on where we are now.
Yeah, right.
And, and then Lululemon in December that year, they asked me to go on board as like an ambassador.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, what's that involve? And, you know, it was more like just about product and development. And I actually got invited over to Whistler in Canada. So I went over there to the main, it's called the SCSC, the Stores Sports Centre. And, and then we went on up into it's called the Ambassador Summit, and it was in 2017, and we went up to Whistler. So there's 100 people from all around the world, and it was real cool. Like all sorts of self-development and everything from yoga to meditation to journaling, stuff that I wouldn't normally do. But it was quite cool to be exposed to that, you know?
Yeah, right.
And then I came back and I just kind of was just cruising away and long story short, we're now involved with LSKD. So they've just opened their first store here in Christchurch in March, and involved there just as a store athlete. And then prior to that, though, I've been doing lots of stuff with ASICS over the last few years. So we have a run group from the gym on a Tuesday night called the Jog Squad. And I've been doing that for the last few years. So we have a 12-week run program that we run in the lead up to an event. So obviously at the start of the year, it's the Christchurch Marathon, which has just been. And then in the second half of the year is the Queenstown Marathon. And when I went on board with ASICS, they're obviously the big sponsors of not actually Christchurch, but Auckland, Hawke's Bay and Queenstown. And they really liked how we were doing, you know, our run community, and it's kind of like, hey, look, it'd be cool if, you know, we could get you on board to come on board and promote our product as well. And a big thing for us now is obviously shoes and everything. But for us, with our style of training, it's right up our alley, you know. So ASICS was a no-brainer. With the footwear and obviously with the high rocks and stuff and all that kind of training now, running is so big.
Yeah.
But also I've learned so much about shoes in the last, year or so. And then LSKD is amazing. The product's so great. And they're similar to I guess the Lululemon, but they want the community, and they also want to help put money into the community. So, you're probably seeing their stuff. It's popping up everywhere now, and they're doing so much. And I think it's so great for Christchurch to have a brand. You remember after the earthquakes, brands just pulled pin everywhere. There's nothing community. And to the Lululemon, they used to do those workouts every Sunday in store. They all went away. And it was all that whole COVID thing as well. But then also brands really tighten up on all sorts of external community stuff. And now LSKD's bringing it. I was like, this is a no-brainer.
Alignment.
Yeah, alignment is so good. And I think for the whole Christchurch, it's going to be a massive sports hub in there now, that corner of High Street. And Casual Street there's so much going on.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Where are they based from?
LSKD.
Yeah.
It's from Australia.
Aussie.
Yeah, so the Gold Coast. So Jason Daniel, he's the owner. He actually came to the gym last year, and I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
And he just did the workout, and I'd actually had this concussion at rugby, and it was my first time back. And then, one of these ladies from Aussie had said to me, hey, I'm going to send a couple of guys along to the gym. And I had no idea it was him. And then I was like to him, so what do you do? And he's like, I just, and I was like, hang on, wait. And I was like, yeah, so he's the big dog. And they were just scoping out locations, and that was in about June, July last year. So, and I think it's really good, at the start, when they first came, or when they first reached out to me, I was kind of like, I was a bit, not skeptical, but I was like, I just want to make sure things are right before, I don't just jump at anything. And they've got great people, and actually a couple of the people that I work with, I've previously worked with at Lululemon back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I guess they're going in the right direction too, so it's cool.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it ties nicely into actually. I was going to ask you about the community side of the business, and just that's something that's shines through from what I can see anyway. Yeah, as an outsider, is that a pretty high value of yours?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is fitness is a byproduct of what we do. You know what I mean? And if you can come, we try and make it that people, no matter what your fitness level, can walk out of our gyms and walk out of our four walls and feel better when they walked in. So, we're not we don't go and try and compare or be like, hey, what did you do, or how fast did you do this? And, you've got people that'll come along and they'll just want to plot away in the corner and, chit-chat, whatever it may be. And you're going to have people like that. Yeah. But they're going to walk out feeling better too. And for us, our biggest thing is, I guess, just our motto on the wall is building better humans. I
love that.
And that's something that we try and live by. And we always try, as our trainers, we have a mission statement, and it's community, culture, leadership, and growth. And whether it's individual or it's us as a team of trainers, I think if people can have an experience when they come to the gym, that's epic, you know. And I was always told this saying once upon a time that you must refresh every single member's membership every single day. you can't be complacent because you might be one thought away from leaving us.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
I've got to come in, I've got to greet you. And I try and make that flow on with our trainers now that like every single time one of them will be there to greet you. And we don't want people to have walked out of our four walls and not like the trainer not having made one-on-one.
Yeah.
And like for me, like the
good.
biggest thing is like I try and say someone's name as many times as I can in a class. Even if you're down the other end of the gym, I'll be like, come on, David. And you'll be like, oh, Matt, leave me alone.
Yeah, and that's
But I'm
ingrained, right?
Yeah, definitely. But you're going to hear your
remember
name. But if you don't hear
100%.
your name being said, so yeah, always refresh everyone's membership every single day
I love
if you
that.
can.
That's
So,
good.
Yeah, I that kind of something that's like sticks by me, and I say to the trainers now, and I do some stuff for the New Zealand Institute of Health and Fitness, and I'm always something I always try and pass on is like, like you've got to leave no matter what's going on as a trainer, at the door, because when you walk inside, people are paying for your like good vibes and energy.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I once went to a CrossFit gym in Bali, and I was standing there, and this American lady got up and spoke, and she's like, hey, I'm doing no caffeine at the moment. And she's like, I'm just so tired. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, that is so unmotivating.
I don't want to hear that, right?
I don't want to hear that, But I was like, if you were in and you walk in, it's like high energy, like, hey, David, great to see you. We're on today.
Yeah.
You'd be like, man, will this guy just give me a break? Like he's full of beans. But high energy is infectious. You know what I mean?
100%.
And I think negativity is something that we just try and leave, at the door. And lots of our members, they obviously come to us for that experience and to get out. And like, lots of our classes are pretty tough. Like they're all quite high intensity, so it's not really much time to sit around and gas bag and not sweat. But you've got people that do that, like I said. But if, we try and do as much now in the community, like on Saturday, we've actually got free classes on Saturday, like an open day. And we've got yoga, and we don't offer yoga, and it's not something we're going to try and do. Because like I said, we want to do what we do and do it well. But we've got an external, one of the ladies who's like a member, she runs yoga, so she's just going to come in. But for us and our members, it's quite cool for them to be exposed to that as well. And we do lots with O Studio in Wells Street. So Timmy being the team there. So it's awesome to have them on board with lots of the stuff we do and our run program. And I think for us too, in like the run group, originally it was to try and like just be for our members. And now the run group's blowing up. And we've got, like we might have 90 odd people sign up to a 12-week run program.
Oh, wow.
But like you come down on a Tuesday night, and I'm like, you guys could be running around Hagley Park or doing your own thing right now, but people want to be part of something.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily like about the Christchurch, like for the marathon. Some people weren't doing the Christchurch marathon, but they wanted to run with us. Like it's so much better when you go along and you start running with people with a similar pace, or you can start chatting to people. It's like networking at the same time.
Yeah.
And so now the run group's sort of blowing up as well. And it's like, it's quite cool for us. And it's not about making money when it comes to the run group, but it's getting people, I guess, connected to like-minded people. And like now there's so many people. I know, look, we've got lots of connected people, and that's all through the gym or whatever it may be,
Yeah. Well, I think what happens is that like technology, that's not the same connection, right? Like
Definitely
we crave as humans human connection.
And when we had when we went into lockdown, lots of gyms were trying to do like online workouts, and we were like, oh, we won't, because that's not our jam, So we stopped everyone's payments, and then we did a couple of like Instagram lives.
Oh yeah.
And it was quite fun, like we got on there, but it was like, I'm talking to a camera, and I was like, you're getting nothing back.
No, it's
and
one
I
way.
was like, this is quite hard. So we did it with one of the gyms up in Auckland. We had one of them trainers on and one of us.
Yeah.
So it was like, there was two of you on screen.
Oh yeah.
And that was quite cool because it was kind of like we're bouncing off each other. But then when we did like the Zoom workouts, it was just like, you've got an earpiece in and you're like trying to talk, and I'm like, come on guys, but you don't hear anything.
No feedback.
Yeah, and I was like, online is definitely not the way. Like human interaction is key.
Yeah.
And I think, that energy is infectious when you can see it. But if you can't hear it or feel it, it's not there.
Yeah. It must be challenging. Like, I mean, life is ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
And so to have that ability or need to like show up every day.
Yeah. It's pretty tough. And it's like, I actually kind of feel, tough for some of our trainers because at the end of the day, they just get paid, like it's a job for them. And, some of them have their own jobs outside of the Hiit Squad as well, like what they do, because some of them are just coming as like casual staff. And then we've got other guys that do, more full-time hours. And like for them, if they've got something going on or whatever, it's quite hard for them to come in. And we've got one of our young girls, Bella, she's epic. But when I work with her, she's like, she finds me too much energy for her.
Too much?
Well, not too much, but she's kind of like, she takes a back step because she knows the oldest do stuff and naturally be loud.
Yeah.
Whereas so she's like, oh, cool. But then if I'm not there, she's epic because she's the voice.
Right.
But then when we're together. But for them, some of them, I'm like, if they've got stuff going on, it is quite tough to put on that face. But for me, I'm, I guess it's just work, but it's also quite rewarding to go in and no matter what you've got going on. And it is quite hard because it's a good vibe place. So, you know, there's times when you want to have a downtime, but you know, shit, I've got to pick myself up and we're on. So, yeah.
Yeah. Would you say you're more of an extrovert then than an introvert, or a bit of both?
I'd say a bit of both, eh?
Yeah.
I love people, and that's probably my biggest thing. Like, I feed off that. But then I also, you know, like, I love going to O Studio for a float.
Yes.
And I went in on Sunday, and I just, like, you know, nothing's going off. And I just lay there. And I remember I was telling Tim one day, I used to always try and go at the end of the week and go in there and just switch off and make sure I switched off. So I'd make sure, like, pretty much my to-do list was clear, and I'd be able to go in for a float. And then he's like, nah, just let your brain just go wherever it goes.
Yeah, right.
So now I just go in there, and that's like my complete zen time.
Nice.
You know, like just chill out. But then there's times when I do go home, I just want to have my own space. Like, I don't think I could handle flatting again or being like that, because I think, you know, when you're around people in that upbeat environment, you know, you kind of just want to, you know, recharge the battery. So when you do go to work, you're on.
100%. Yeah. No, O Studio is good, eh?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So good. Like, you know, I when I had the concussion last year, I started doing, I tried to go to their, like, upbeat, like their, you know, one of their flow style classes, and it was too much for me because my blood pressure would fluctuate. So I was like, so I had to take a back step and start going to their, like the kind of like yin style class, just like stretches. And, it was tough because I'm not used to sitting around so much and not sweating, you know. Yes. So, but it was cool for me to do something. So yoga, I like the, like, kind of upbeat style where it's like, you know, warm and you start to get a bit of a sweat on. But yeah, the things like the floats and that are epic, eh?
Yeah,
you know?
so good. Yeah.
Have you had a float?
Yeah, I've done a few. Yeah. Not for a while, but did like a 5-pack.
Oh yeah.
Card, and then like just did the full like commitment, like did weekly for every.
Oh, it's so good.
It was quite good.
And I think though, like, it is a good time we don't give ourselves enough time, you know, these days, and everyone is time poor, you know, or we believe we're time poor. Whereas I think, like, the whole wellness side of life now is really important, you know. And when people say to me about, you know, like they're struggling with financial wise, I'm like, honestly, you'll be in such a better headspace if you are being active. You know, not necessarily with us, but doing any sort of activity.
Just something, right?
Yeah, something, you know. And I was like, it's not the same, but like, you know, like going for a run by yourself, you do get an endorphin rush. But like I said, if you're around people and that, it can be quite, uplifting.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, even this morning, you know, I was just like, do I go like lift some weights and like get a sweat on? It would have been really easy not to, but
100%.
committed, and then like just 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
This felt so good.
And that's the thing now. It's like you just block out time to do it. And if you don't, like, you know, and that's what I said about the tradies and that, because, you know, that's, I believe it's like a big flow-on effect, eh?
100%.
Yeah, and I think that sets you up. And, you know, but like I said, like we're talking about O Studio and that, but like exercise can be so exciting. And like fitness now is pretty cool that you can, lots of these things, they're not just strict memberships, eh? It's all like, you know, concession cards, and you can dabble, or you can do 2 weeks unlimited, or you can do whatever. And that's what makes it like pretty exciting.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think what you said about having your own time, I think that's really
key.
Something that I've noticed lately is just having that morning. And for me, I love getting up early in the morning, and even if it's just getting in a few steps on the treadmill. Like,
100%.
It's just a good like recharge and a reset, you know?
Oh, yeah. And then you start, you win the morning, win the day, eh? You're kind of saying. And like for me now, if I work in the morning, I'll try and stay on and do like the 9:30 class. Or if I'm to do something else, I might go and walk the dogs, then come back and then do a class. But sometimes like I'll battle at night time because I'm a bit tired or whatever. But I try and do my morning, tick it off, you know, get my fitness in early in the morning if I can, and then go from there. But like I said to you, if it's my days off, I try and do the 5 a.m. We just recently changed the roster at work, so it's kind of like rattled me a bit because I'm working more night times.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of been like, I've always been trying to do 5:05, but it's just making my days so much longer. So more that I'm going to bed later by working late. So I've been doing the 6:55 a.m. class, and then I feel like I'm cheating my alarm, mate, when I'm getting up at 6, because our start time's 4:50 for our 5:05 a.m. class. So your alarm's going off at just before 4 a.m.
Right, yeah.
Every day. And now I'm in that body clock of waking up at that time.
Yeah, right.
And I'm waking up and I'm like, I'm going to go back to bed for another hour and a half. And I feel like I'm like, what am I up to? But then it's so much better that I'm actually sleeping a bit longer.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you track your sleep?
Yeah, and it's actually been pretty bad. You can see now I've got the Whoop band on.
Me
yeah,
too.
so I actually have lots of trouble with my tattoos because I've got tattoos on both arms.
Yeah.
And with the watch that loses the
I've heard that.
Yeah, so I bought an Apple Ultra a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, I'm going to be all over my sleep thing, and then it keeps switching off, and I was like, what's going on? And it's black tattoo ink, so the HRV sensors can't work through. So I went to the Whoop band last year, and I was doing lots with these concussion specialists about because I had all these headaches and all sorts of stuff going on with the rugby concussion, and they started saying I need to track my sleep, and it was coming in, I was like 4 to 5 hours a night. And that's just me. Like I could operate on next to no sleep, and they're like, look, Matt, you need to be starting to get more sleep. And that's been something I've been big trying to get on now, like 6 to 7 hours a night. And I actually wake up fizzing now, like, which I'm not saying I didn't, but I'm like waking up.
Even
like,
more so.
Yeah, even more so.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and I've been running the Whoop, probably about six or so months. And I've just been using it mostly for sleep.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
What do you use it for?
Yeah, mostly sleep. Yeah. I had an Oura ring for 3 years beforehand.
Yeah.
And I'm just loving this.
Yeah,
Just so helpful. Like, I don't know if you use like the AI function.
Yeah.
How good is that?
Oh, mate, I think it's so good to just be aware of stuff, and like it picks up your trends.
Yeah, and the body battery.
Yeah, mate, and like obviously with a normal watch now, your heart rate zones are set up on when you set up the watch, and it's all generic. You know, like it's 220 minus your age is your heart rate max, and then it bases out all your different zones, whereas on the Whoop, it updates it every day. So if your resting heart rate changes, which it will start to do after it finds those patterns, so every day it updates on the last 4 weeks. So your resting heart rate might go from 45 beats a minute to 42, and then you might have a higher stress week and it jumps up. So then it fluctuates your heart rate zones to suit, which I think is quite interesting because lots of people are like, oh, I'm working out in the red. And I was like, that's not actually really relative. Like if you look at the Whoop band, that's specific to you.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
It's real good.
I'm noticing more and more of them around too.
Yeah, they're a lot more common. We actually had the Crusaders in the gym a couple of weeks ago, and they had on all the Oura rings, and they're doing a case study.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
interesting.
I'm not sure if it's the Oura brand or what it is, but someone else. But they're obviously doing it to track what they've been doing at training and everything like that. So obviously becoming a lot more common, and obviously now they have like the underwear and shorts that can put the modules in.
Oh, really?
So you can take the wristband off, and you can put it like there's a sports bra with it, and there's the band of your shorts, because all it needs is that skin connection.
Ah, right.
I don't know how accurate it would be with movement, but obviously it's just becoming so much more common.
The old tech undies.
Tech undies.
What's next?
I don't know,
man.
But people love data, eh?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people will be like, how many calories they burnt, how much, what do they do, and whether they're doing it to track their macros for eating, or they're just trying to track it themselves. And like for me, like I said, the sleep thing's a big one. But looking at the sleep debt, yeah, Matt, you're negative. Like you need 10 hours to come back up, and I'm like, I've got to get onto it.
It's a big night.
Yeah, a big night.
Yeah, but practical though, right?
Practical.
Yeah.
And it makes you also, it's like something like a constant reminder.
Yes.
You know, and I feel like if you get busy, like busy people get busier, and the first thing they neglect is themselves.
Yeah.
And like if you can put yourself first is like something that I'm like, and that's something I've really tried, like been trying to do lately for like the last 6 months, is like not put myself first, but just give myself me time. And whether that is sleeping or doing something where it's like, making yourself feel good is like key.
Totally, yeah. What's like that analogy, right? Like the plane crash, like you got to put your own mask on first before helping others.
That's what the hostesses do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
definitely.
But no, I've just super actionable data, right?
Yeah,
so clear. So no, it's good. Trying to get them as a sponsor, actually.
Oh yeah, get them on board. I think they're a lot more in New Zealand. Get them on, definitely.
Get them on.
Yeah.
I think they're UK.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They're obviously big in Aussie, huge in Aussie now, and then but obviously worldwide and globally.
Yeah.
So a lot more sports teams are popping up with them as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What about the next 12 months? That's something that I quite like doing, actually, is having, because this I sold 10 million in 10 years. It's often to have like a guest back every year or every so often, right?
Yeah.
And so it sort of acts as a time capsule.
100%.
So what's the next 12 months look like?
Well, I think for us, the biggest thing, like I kind of said before, is getting those, like we've got our systems in place, and then just decide, like, when I said that we went backwards a wee bit with COVID and like that last couple of years, and I feel for like a big thing now, and a lot of people would know, obviously with interest rates dropping, like people are branching back out into fitness and spending more money, and not necessarily in the fitness wise. So for us, the biggest thing is to get back to kind of where we were pre-COVID would be the biggest goal I can do. Like we have months when we don't make money, and when that happens, I don't go, shit, we're making a loss, because then there's times when we do make money, but I don't go, hey, we're making money, we're going to spend more money, because it doesn't really work like that. You kind of got to ride the wave, and that's the thing. People are like, oh, you must be humming after Christmas, and I'm like, they're like New Year's resolutions. I was like, for us now, we don't actually usually get busy till after Waitangi weekend,
right?
Because a lot of people take summer later. But we started to notice this year was a lot busier than it's been in the last 3 years.
Oh, cool.
And it was just good to see. And then we sort of go through a lull now. Obviously, we come 1st of May today, but where people, take a back break, like winter sport to summer sport, vice versa. We lose people to go outside for winter sports, and we get people inside. But for us, our biggest thing, if we can get back humming like we were, and start to get confidence in what we do, then I'll look to like, hey, we're going to start to make some big, big milestones that we want to try and get through. And the biggest thing we wanted to do a few years ago was to like kind of not dabble, but not have a second like location as such, but have like a pop-up kind of second location.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like there's lots of places around town now or in these business parks where they're like sitting empty waiting for someone to take over the lease. And I'd be like, how cool would it be to do like a pop-up gym
like
for
that.
like 3 or 4 months, and you just come in and you like put the tiles down and you replicate what we do, but without the overheads of like a permanent like lease. And we just dabble and just see, hey, is this going to work?
I like that concept.
Yeah. So that was what we were like looking to do. And then we kind of put the handbrakes on when that COVID happened, and not COVID, but just after. I was like, shit, we can't really afford to do this now because it could go extremely wrong. But the thing is, that's like a low risk kind of next step. And that would be something that I'd love to get back into. Like we had all our ducks in a row. Like there was a business plan behind it and everything. And I was like, right, well, this could be our next kind of venture.
Yeah.
And then it'll just be getting in with the right people or the developers or whatever it may be, or the right agents. Because there's lots of those buildings now. You look around town, they're sitting empty, but some of them might have, you, for example, have taken the lease on it. But that sits for a year while it's waiting to go through council or design concepts or whatever. And I'm like, that'd be cool to just pop up. But on the other hand, like you flip it on the other side, then there's, gyms shutting down left, right and centre. And it's like, commercial leases. It's like, people are like, it's premium retail leases, half of them. So it's high, it's premium. So it's just kind of like, yeah, I think if we can get that confidence back up and get people in the door, like more foot traffic, and then the look to go from there would be our biggest key.
Yeah, nice. Would you do it within Christchurch or somewhere?
I think so, yeah. Christchurch, not outside because it'd be too hard to manage.
Yeah.
And that's when, like I said, I had mates in Auckland that they had one in Auckland, then one on the North Shore, and they just couldn't manage both, even being in the same city, but just further away. So I think if we could, in the same, location.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I guess, people do want to dabble, you know, but then like people want to franchise as well, and you see the franchise model which takes off, but for us, like we're in our 9th year, and I don't believe we'd be ready to franchise because, and I don't want to use any specific gym that as a franchise model as such, but if you went to a franchise gym here and you went to Auckland, you'd get a different experience every single time. Do you agree? And that's because they've been passed the handbook, and it's like things aren't, polished when they get rolled out. But lots of franchises are, hey, copy and paste. Here's this booklet. You need a manager. You need X amount of staff. This is what it's going to cost you. You need a building that's 120 square meters, and that's what they roll off. But then some of those people that take over those gyms, they're just a business owner that sees an idea, or they go, hey, I just need a manager. And then it's like, it kind of gets lost. So for us, I'm like, we're in our 9th year. And a few years ago when I was doing all this planning, I like wrote down every single job we do in the gym, every single job. And we classed it, and it was like, it's $1 million jobs, $100 jobs, and then like $30 jobs. And I was like, look, there's like, staff, manager, and then what you want to do. And like, I just love working, So I'm always in there, and the boys at the gym will tell you, like, in the weekend I was in there, I had my ale pocket on, we were ripping up all the floor tiles, and like, I love hands-on stuff. And getting in there to do it. But like, you've got to be able to, I guess, like we've got so many jobs now. We tried to do that when we employed a manager a couple of years ago. It was just to be like, hey, what is our role? But the thing is, because the Hiit Squad, when we began, we didn't have systems in place or job descriptions. It was like stuff I learned. And one of the girls, Zoe, who first came on board as our first full-time staff member, she's actually really smart. And was like, she was a head girl at St Andrews College years ago. And when she came on board, I was like, I just like, hey, look, we need some help. And she'd be like, I've got this idea, Matt, boom, banging out emails and doing this, and, creating spreadsheets. And I was like, this is stuff that I could never do. And I was never really into that. And then now we've kind of got things in play that we've created like a big document basically now that like we've got different stuff that happens. And like I said, if staff members come in, but like we would never ever, I don't think as the Hiit Squad as a brand would franchise, but yeah.
But never say never.
Never say never.
No.
So, like I said, though, like the joy is of being independent is you can kind of roll with whatever happens.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like I get scared about if you were a franchise because I'm like, some of them I don't know how they'd make money.
No.
And I'm the sole owner. And, we've got guys trying to pay all their gears on tick. And like we luckily own all our gear. And I was lucky that when I did work away for that time, before I started the gym, that I banked a lot of money that when we did open, that we brought everything we own. So that just, saves a big expense straight away. You're not paying off equipment and that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah,
I don't know if that kind of answered your question.
No,
I kind of
I
be lined
don't-
away, but yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Regardless of a franchise and how structured it is totally different based on the
Independent owner.
independent owner and the community and the members around
100%.
it. Right? Yeah,
And that's the thing now. I was like, I don't believe that we'd be in a place if we were to ever do a franchise, like even just now, like we would be close, like in terms of our systems are in place, but you'd have to get, like replicating that energy and community is something that can't just be, you can't buy a community.
no,
It's got to be created.
You got to create it. Yeah.
You got to create it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing now. It's like creating a community is like that community is infectious and it feeds itself. You know, and sometimes it's not always about the classes. Like the classes aren't necessarily like, hey, that class made it epic. It's the people that make it epic.
That's it.
You know?
Yeah. And just one small interaction can make that, right?
100%.
Yeah, interesting.
So, yeah, it's that whole, that's like kind of like we talked about as the people and it's the trainers and giving everyone that experience. It's like, making sure you're on.
And that energy, right?
And the energy.
Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah.
I was just thinking when you were talking about franchises, like when I lived in Canada, I was a Orange Theory member.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was quite pumped up on it, right?
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. And
Yeah,
then coming here, I was like,
Yeah.
this is totally different.
Way
Like,
different.
Same theoretical concept.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, totally different.
And then I think the thing is too with like that Orange Theory, because that actually, Orange Theory began before F45.
Yeah,
And
it was massive over
F45
there.
effectively like not stole, but like copied their idea and tried to bring that to Australia and then started there and then came to New Zealand and that did blow up, you know, and that was like the F45 blew up and then Orange Theory tried to come here and they've recently just shut here in Christchurch.
I see that, yeah.
Yeah, and they had big plans, but obviously tough, you know, like they're getting, you know, direction, I guess, from the US on what they had to do or goals or targets, you know, / milestones to try and hit. And I remember talking to Paul, who was the owner at the time, and they had to open X amount of studios in a certain amount of time.
Right.
And it was like 2 in Christchurch in his first year. And like then they went into COVID.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
so it actually must have been before that. It was about 2017, 2018, around that time. They first came to Christchurch and, you know, but it's tough. Like, that's what I mean. It is scary. But then at the end of the day, like if the Hiit Squad didn't work out, I'd go back building. You know, I don't hate building. I've still got all my tools now and I love that kind of stuff.
Would you go back building like as a business, self-employed?
I don't know.
Or would you work for someone?
I don't know. I enjoy working for others, eh?
Yeah,
and,
you're okay with it? Yeah.
Yeah, and when I was working here in Christchurch, I loved working here. Yeah. I worked for Build Tech at the time, which is now called Home, and I loved it. It was awesome working on the rebuild. And then when I went overseas, I was working for like a fly-in, fly-out company, actually out of Auckland, but they'll fly me from here. We'd go to Brisbane and then spend a day in Brisbane and then fly to Nauru. And I love that, like the whole team environment, you know, like sure, if you work for yourself is cool and it's obviously a lot more like stressful, but like fly in, fly out building is great. But it's great money, but it's not reality. You know, reality is here. Yeah. You know, and you know, people are like, oh, you know, you obviously make great money when you work away, but like lots of people are like, oh, would you go back to fly in, fly out work if I did? And I was like, maybe if it was a short-term thing, but I wouldn't do it as a long-term thing.
No.
You know, you got to set that benchmark of goal of what you wanted to get out of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I've got mates that are building now and they love it. And there's guys that are working for themselves and there's guys that just contract to others. But I don't know, I love people. I definitely want to be in a team environment anyway, wherever it was, whether it was working for myself or working for someone else.
Yeah, totally. What about travel now? Are you big on travel? Or?
I haven't actually done too much travel. Like when I was younger, when I was working away, obviously a bit of travel, and then I'll obviously like through Aussie and all that kind of stuff. But I've never been to Europe, so that's something I'd love to be on the cards. I went to Japan when I was playing rugby when I was younger, so I'd love to go back there. And I've got lots of mates still over there in Japan now playing rugby, so it'd be cool to connect with them if I head over to there. But like the UK is definitely like something that's on the bucket list. But yeah, I'm getting older now, eh? So I need to probably get out there and do that and get amongst it at some point in time. But yeah, I haven't actually yet. So
yeah,
no, I need to.
Get something booked.
Yeah, I know. I need to ASAP. I've got lots of my family are in Aussie. My brother lives in Perth, and my mum's just recently moved over. Well, she moved over a year ago, actually, just now a year ago. But my brother's got twins over there, so we've been going over to Perth. Been trying to make it every year for like a month around Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Have you been to Perth?
No, I haven't.
Oh mate, unreal, eh?
It's cool.
Yeah, real cool. And we spent we actually went in November last year, but we've done a month at a time. We've been over to like Rottnest Island, which is a little island off Perth, and it's like amazing.
Is that where those ockers are?
Yeah. The quackers, yeah.
Quackers,
yeah. And it's like unreal. And we went there, done a week there each time, and they go on like the online booking system. There's like, 40,000 people trying to get in. And they've managed to get through. My brother, for 2 or 3 years in a row. They actually went last Christmas, but we went obviously in earlier, so we missed it. But amazing. And I was like, so my whole family, they're actually off to Bali, but my brother, he's got these 2 twins, and they're only like coming up a year.
Oh yeah.
And his wife's Canadian, and they've been like traveling these kids everywhere. And I'm like, they're not even one. They're the most traveled infants in the world probably. But I'd love to get traveling like my brother. He's a freelancer. He just loves to travel and that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's good. I like it. I reckon there's lots to be learned from it. Different perspective and
like a couple of years ago, we had lots of members depart the gym to go, when the borders first opened.
Right, yeah.
And obviously it was cool to see everyone going away and then it's kind of like not died off, but there's, the people when they get to that mid-20 age now, all kind of either doing the UK thing for a couple of years. But I was actually, when I first started my fly-in fly-out job in 2014, when I first did it, my original plan was to do two 4-week swings, like stints away, and then go to Europe and do my OE, and then never happened. And then like obviously when I became on the permanent roster, and then basically it was like, oh cool, we're making some money now, and then I was like, shit, making lots of money now, then buy a house. So bought a house, and then I guess the gym started, and that was like, and I could never take a step back from that. So then I was like, well, now it's like kind of like I said, we've got systems in place and a good roster in place that like, when I did go away to Perth the last couple of times, when I went actually in November last year, it was a lot tougher because the gym was still open, but at the times before when I've been away at Christmas, there's like less admin because there's not as much on. But Perth was just so tough being 5 hours behind and trying to like get in touch with the trainers here.
Yeah.
It was actually quite good because then the trainers had to make decisions without me.
Right.
Because they'd be doing their classes. We only did morning classes over the summer, over the break through Christmas. And, they'd be finishing at 9 in the morning, but which is actually like 4 a.m. Perth time.
Right. Yeah.
So I was like, if they had a decision like to make, they had to make it. Because by the time I woke up, their work shift was over.
They're committed.
So, they were committed. So that was cool for them. And then when I went away in November last year, it was a lot tougher because it was like the time difference just really throws everything out, But now I guess the gym's in a better place that if I do travel, we've got like the right staff there as well. And if I was to go away, people could just slip straight in and fill that void,
Yeah. What would be the average age of a member?
Oh, I'd say anywhere. They go right down. We've actually got like a young one now. She's still at high school, like young, but they go right up, 65, 70. But I'd say the average would be anywhere from like 25 to 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that window is, I guess a bit of disposable income, if you could say, and that people that just maybe start to value fitness more than they're not playing sports or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say that's probably the average age. Yeah, it's 25 to 35.
And an equal split, male, female, or?
Probably a bit less, I'd say maybe, 65, 35. It's like it's a big female, quite female prominent. Sometimes some classes you go to can be the other way. We've got lunch classes, it might be all lads.
All dudes.
Yeah, and then some of them are the opposite. It's like all ladies and one guy. But then, I'd say it's majority female though in terms of that. But we do, over summer, we get a lot more of the guys like rugby boys and that come in. But definitely probably a higher female ratio split. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, man. Oh, wicked.
Yeah.
Oh, so good sitting down.
No, it's good. We just get back for another class, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is good to do things that make you uncomfortable, and that class made me uncomfortable. It's just hard. It's a hard workout, It's not like lifting weights or running.
Nah.
It's quite a unique.
It is, yeah. And like our classes, it's quite hard though. Like we've done like lots with the Crusaders and that in pre-season. And when we first began, we used to only do like solely body weight. We did a style of training called ZUU, spelled ZUU. So it was all based off on like primal animal like patterns, And when we did that, it's like it was so different what we were doing because people were like, well, what is this stuff that they're doing?
Yeah.
That was because when I worked away, we didn't have any gear. So we just did body weight. And the hard thing is when it comes to like, in the sports teams or in a professional environment, like if we did some style of press up or a bear crawl or gorilla and I get up and say it's easy and you get up and say it's the hardest thing you've done, like what's the difference? But it's so hard to measure. And like when it comes to professional sport, they want to know how fast the barbell travels or how much weight they're moving, like all of that stuff can be tracked. But when it comes to body weight stuff, which is lots of the stuff we do at HIT, why is it harder for people, like for some and others and, vice versa? So, yeah, body weight stuff is definitely challenging and it's like the hardest stuff we'll do. And, that's the thing now is like like I don't want to be physically strong. Like I want to be able to like lift my body and move well, really. And that's, you know, basically it. You know, like I said, you get old, you don't want to be strong. You want to touch your toes. And,
That's it.
You know, do up your laces and
practical, right?
pick up the kids and run in the letterbox.
Yeah, it'd be a good thing to get in the rotation.
Yeah, definitely. Once a week, mate.
Once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think Nick Brownlee, I think he's
talking about coming back.
He's talking about it.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a bit of public accountability.
Yeah, come down there, Alex Watson, 9:30 a.m. every day.
Is he?
He's down there.
He's
every
consistent.
Day. He is.
He loves it, right?
He does.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Anything else? What do you reckon?
What do I reckon? Predictions? Any other predictions on the 12 months?
I'm not sure. I think just just keep chipping away, eh? And keep chipping away. And I was like, it's like, I'm not saying we're not aiming with, like no goal as such. Like I think it's just trying to make sure we're going in the right direction. And like I said to you, like there's been times when, you know, like years ago, I was like, shit, we've got like, you know, more money in the bank than we do now. And like there's times when I've been like, shit, the money in the bank's getting down low. But it's all about like keeping afloat and doing what you can do and do it well. And that's when I'm like, shit, we can't get caught up with, you know, anything else. It's just focusing on what we can do and do it well, you know. So that's probably our biggest thing, and like ironing our product and making it better and as best as we can. And we've done as much as we can now to like, you know, like lots of our stuff, we don't do like paid marketing. I don't know if that's something we should look at or whatever. We do lots of our stuff is kind of like organic or word of mouth. And I feel that kind of hits the right people because that's like the people we want to have, you know, like sometimes paid marketing getting put in front of the wrong people and they don't want to invest in what you do. So, and lots of us, like, you know, people come down to where we are. They're like, oh, where are you? I'm like, Stanmore Road. They're like, oh. And I was like, nah, mate, it's a great place. And it's actually so close. And like the location, when we got there, one of the guys was like, hey, we've got this building coming up for like lease in Linwood. Oh, yeah. And I was like, we're not in Linwood, eh? Like, as class as Phillipstown. And it's like, you know, we're a stone's throw from the new stadium. And it's like, we're going to be in like a prime location, I believe, in due course when, you know, the city starts to expand. And all around the gym now is pumping, eh? There's so much going on. And Casual Street by the gym, we've just had the Bohemian Bakery move in. Oh, nice. The new bakehouse.
Dangerous.
Yeah, real dangerous. A couple of almond croissants, mate, you're happy.
So good.
But there's like things like that, and obviously like there's like the smoky teas and that round the corner, and there's lots. I guess it's starting to really take off, you know, like the whole area. And I think Christchurch as a city is like a vibe now, right?
Yeah,
you know,
it's getting there.
I actually had a girl come to the gym who was a member about 3 years ago. She came in last week, and she was just like, "How cool is Christchurch?" And she hadn't been here for 3 years, and I was like, "It's actually great." Like, I remember years ago, I was like, if there's another earthquake, I'm going to leave. You know, like I couldn't handle it. You know, like,
couldn't do it again.
You know, I couldn't. I was like, and there's like there wasn't much for young people, and now there's so much.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you know, you might see people on social media, and you're like, shit, where's that restaurant? Or like, what's this? And I'm like, you know, like you can grow a bucket list in Christchurch now of things to do.
There's a heap.
Like, oh, there's so much, and like, yeah, Christchurch is definitely a real cool city at the moment.
Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, have you seen the mini golf course that's opening?
Well, the one that's on
Chewham
down, that's just by the gym on the corner there.
Filling holes,
Yeah.
I just sponsored a hole
Oh,
there.
have you?
Yeah.
Oh, wicked. Yeah, I actually saw their guys on their social media.
Yes.
And I always donate blood just beside.
Oh, yeah.
And I always bike past them one day. I was like, what's going on here? And then I saw like they had a couple of little, I guess I don't know what you would call holes or whatever, but they had like a couple of things set up. And then I saw like they popped up on my social media, and I was like, that's the place I go past all the time.
Yeah.
A couple of young guys. Eh?
Yeah, Lucas. I had Lucas on the podcast maybe a few months ago.
Oh, awesome.
And I was just like, oh, this is awesome. This is the definition of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah. So, and they're like making the most of like the vacant spaces.
100%.
And they're like everywhere now, you know, and I was like, that's so cool to see guys getting out there and doing stuff like that. And like big ups to everyone. I said, like, there's lots of people trying to do their own things now and getting creative. And, you know, like there's the restaurants now, and like, you know, we do lots with boys from Bones Pickles.
Oh, yeah.
Have you met them? Oh, absolute lads.
They're part of the Fifth Street?
Oh, yeah, Fifth Street crew. And then they've, like last year, anyway, like obviously pickle juice is becoming a big thing now, and like those boys are out there. And then I was out at the skedaddle race, which I was just talking about before on the weekend. And then Mike, he's from there. He was out there helping at the base, like the wood-fired pizza, like they had their thing. Yeah. He was helping them out with all their food. And he looked at me, and I had a Bones pickle shot in my run vest. And anyway, I did the run, and I started getting cramps, so I just buffed this pickle shot. And everyone's like, what are you out to? I'm on the pickle juice, mate. And I was like, but these guys are like, they're out there doing it, you know, and like they experimented with pickles, and now it's just blowing up. And I was like, so cool. You know, like, cool, real cool, you know, so there's, so much going on.
It's so good. And this is like one of the things I love about this podcast, right, is that if I find someone that's interesting, it's just like, hey.
Get them on.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, just like the pickle guy. Like I've seen it around, but yeah.
Mate, to get them on here next.
There we go. There's a challenge.
Two of them though, two of them.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're good lads. But I think like the biggest thing for me and like the biggest turning point I said was like that conversation I had when I had that leadership course that got asked those questions. And like that's for anyone else, I guess, out there in that, like, you know, on that stepping stone of like, shit, what do I do next? Or where am I going? Because I could have happily been a builder for the rest of my life. And I probably wouldn't have changed because I loved it, you know, but then I guess fitness was a passion. And for me now to be doing what I'm doing 9 years later, you know, I was like, I remember when we had our 5th birthday, I was like, whoa, this is like happening. But like, you know, like 5th birthday, I was like pretty cool. And then now I'm like, shit, we're in our 9th year, you know, and like, yeah, it's pretty cool. But I was like, if I hadn't had that conversation, would I be doing what I'm doing right now? I don't know.
It's a real sliding doors moment.
Oh, it is, eh? And I was like, to that guy, Joel, I still keep in touch with now all the time. And he does like a online kind of like workshop leadership kind of program. And I did that level up course last year. And it was quite cool for me just to, one, connect with him again, but also like just, I guess, reconnect with myself and going through like the values and that again. And I was like, you know, like learning from others and like upskilling yourself is something that's like, you know, like lots of us do it, but then some people don't. And like for me, it was so cool to have someone like him come in and he was like a massive influence because I never knew those conversations. And I've been doing a few talks with different like school groups now. And I was at Shirley Boys only a few weeks ago actually. And when I was there, I got up and spoke about how I had this conversation. And I was like, guys, whatever you do, like don't go against your parents right now. Cause I was like, they're getting told to go to uni or whatever. But I was like, for some of these young guys that are starting to like branch out or have decisions, like for me, I'm grateful for every opportunity I've had like along the way. And it's been a learning and it's created who I am today. But I had mates that went to uni and then they've like branched out and they haven't used those degrees. And they've got these massive student loans that they're still paying off, you know. And when we finished this talk at Shirley Boys, only 3 weeks ago, one of the students, I said, I'll hang around for some Q&A after. So I did 2 groups. There's a morning tea in between. And one of these guys came up to me. He's like, look, I've been offered a cricket scholarship to go to the UK. And he's like, I don't really know if I should do it or not. He's like, my parents want me to go to uni. He's like, I can go to uni on like, go for a cricket scholarship there, or I could go to the UK. And he's like, what do you reckon? And I was like, he knows what I'm going to say. I'm like, look, you know, uni can always be there when you come back. But I was like, if you go to uni now and you start, you're probably going to get caught up in the fact that it's like, you'll be doing it half-assed, you know. But I was like, if you actually go, hey, mum and dad, I'm going to go to the UK and do 6 months for the cricket season, which is our winter, come back and you'll start uni next year and you'll be fresh. I was like, you just need to probably work it out and then, you know, have your pros and cons listed out for them. But I was like, he was just feeding off that conversation that I had. And I was like, I just wish I was exposed to that when I was younger, like having that people in, like an external voice. Because so many of the times, you know, my partner at the time, she doubted me in starting the gym, you know, and she said I had 6 months to prove myself, you know, and and I was like, well, I'm still here now, you know. So, and she's not, shouldn't say it like that, but like, you know, she'd never backed me in that sense. And, you know, like sometimes it comes an external voice to actually be like, give you confidence.
Oh, I mean, that's my day job, right?
Yeah.
Like when I'm not podcasting, business coaching is all about that. Just having those conversations and bouncing off each other, right?
100%.
And it's not like I've got the answers.
No.
In fact, I've just got the questions.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and a lot of it is just asking those hard questions, right? Like, what is the worst that could happen?
What is the worst thing? And like when you actually write it down, there's not actually much.
No.
But it's so many people, we get so caught up in, you know, they say that 90% of your thoughts are the same as what they were yesterday and 70% of them are negative or whatever the stats are, something like that, eh? And it's like, you know, we always think about what we thought about yesterday. And the majority of those thoughts are negative because everything is in a deflection of protection. You know what I mean?
It's interesting.
And when you start to like think about it like that, you're like, oh, okay. But if you actually flipped it on the other side, it's like, what's the worst that can happen? And you start thinking about that, you know, but there's so many people now, like, you know, I feed off high energy environments, and like when there's negativity around or toxicity, it's like I'm like, go away,
out of here.
Like, hey, I'm out of here. Like I run, eh? But I can tell, like you obviously know me a little bit, but I switch off when it comes to that because I'm like, you know, life is so much better than that. And
100%,
like,
it doesn't need to be that way, right?
Yeah. And I like, you know, when I hear people complain about their jobs, I'm like, you don't have to complain about it.
No.
You could actually go and get another job.
Yeah, do something about it.
But they don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's people in life that you realise are going to be like that, you know, and for me now, like with the gym and the boys at the gym, they're like, I love it because we get these mean perks because they get stuff, you know, from ASICS and LSKD and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, but it's like, that's just the byproduct of what we do. And like for having you guys on board, it's like a reward as well, you know? So, but then I'm like, it makes it cool for them because at the end of the day, like they might want to go and work somewhere else, but it's like that whole environment that they have at the gym is like quite a fun environment too.
That's cool.
Know?
Yeah. I mean, that is the definition of success for me anyway, is like spending the day with good people and like that. It's that simple, right?
100%.
Like I think money will flow from that, but really if it's about if you get to the end of the day and you've had some good conversations and been around good people, like
and
what more do you want, right?
Yeah, and you're happy. That's what I'm like. And the thing is, like a gym for us is like such an upbeat vibe. You know what I mean? Like you walk in there, there's not really much going on. People come in there to feel good. Yeah. So like if they walk out feeling great, I'm like, that's it. But like, it's like there's days, like I said to you, like when you might be like, oh, I'm a bit off or a bit on. You walk out buzzing though, because you're around that, you know, you can never have a bad day in the gym. Yeah. You know, like the worst thing we have is like people's membership requests or like, I'm like, oh, that person. But like the issues we have are nothing compared to what other people have outside. You know what I mean?
Nothing. That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's what I said to the trainers too. Like the hardest thing probably with us is like, we're really accessible. So like if people can't get through to us at the gym or an email, they'll find me on Instagram or Facebook, or they'll have your number and they'll text you. But I'm like to the boys at the gym, I'm like, guys, it's fitness. Like it doesn't have to be done now. Like if someone's leaving it till 11 o'clock at night to sort out a membership request, they can wait till the morning.
That's on them, right?
100%. But people do, like they'll wait till a Sunday night. They're like, I want to start, my trial finished. I want to come in next, you know, I want to be there tomorrow. I'm like, guys, we can't, like, but it creates panic. But that's like when we have big dramas. I'm like, it's not really a drama.
It's not, no.
You know?
It's just the interpretation of
100%.
Yeah.
And like I said though, like people are, and when we first began the gym, we didn't have those things in place. Like I didn't have a work phone. It was all through Facebook. Right. So people, that's what they knew. So now it's like, I used to be David Mel's messaging me as a friend of Matt Bateman, or is he messaging me about the Hiit Squad? You know, right. So now I'm like, try and keep it real separate. If someone messages me on Instagram, I'll be like, hey, flick me an email. Bang, and it just keeps it separate.
And it's just easy, right?
Real easy.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, how easy is it also to like make the mistake of
banging in the message.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're just feeding it.
But the latest Apple update, how good is it, the scheduled text messages?
Scheduled text? I haven't seen that.
Oh, mate, I love a scheduled text message. I do it all the time. I'll show you after. Yeah, so I just prep all my texts because I used to always be like, you know, an informal chat can be, you know, so easy to bang a message out to you at 8 p.m. at night. And I'm always like, you know, for us, we're up in first thing in the morning, but I always do emails and I'll, you know, send at 8 a.m. or whatever. But now the text one, you know, getting good looks with the missus too. You can send, hey, have a great day, but you've scheduled it the night before. All
the secrets are coming out.
No, there's all sorts. But I actually find that real good now. Like there's so many ways with, you know, work and that you can kind of put a boundary in place.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's really hard to get off your phone. You know what I mean? Like and you get notifications on your watch. They're going off left, right and centre.
I know.
You know.
It is a challenge, right? Yeah. I think the default settings are pretty harmful, right?
Oh, big time.
Ping, 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 ping.
Oh, all the time. Like that, it does my head, and I try, and we have the trainers now, like help run the social media at the gym, and I have one day a week we'll do all our scheduling, and it makes it so much easier to kind of put that boundary in place. And then sometimes I don't even open the Hiit Squad Instagram because it goes off, but then it's like, but then some of the trainers usually pick it up instead, but otherwise it's just like honestly all the time. Yeah. You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
What do you do outside of the classes? Like, do you do much community stuff, like events that are not fitness related?
Yeah, not much. I do a bit of talking, which I really enjoy with the schools. That's been something I've really sort of like I did a lot at St. Bede's last year and Shirley Boys this year. And I really enjoy that, like seeing young men and like, you know, like I find that like young guys kind of respond well to me. I did a bit with Girls High a few years ago, and I took them for a fitness thing on one of their rowing camps, and it was hectic. You know, 60 teenage girls all screaming. I was like, oh, this is not me. But yeah, and then other than that, I've been doing more like sort of like emceeing sort of stuff, and like that's the stuff that I'm doing with Essex, and I'm doing some stuff with the JD Sports opening, which is in the city next week. But that's for Essex because part of their sports style brand, and they are a big thing. And so that's something else cool that's coming to Christchurch, but just helping, I guess, being out there, you know, helping front their community kind of stuff. Yeah, cool. And I really enjoy that, just being able to connect with people and have yarns or bringing energy. You know, and that's the biggest thing. And Hawke's Bay Marathon, I'll be doing the same as helping out there. I'll do summer, like when I go up there and, you know, help with the shakeout runs and that for the marathon. My actual, you know, time to shine's only like 10 minutes, you know, and we warm up and a cool down and send people off on a run. But I end up doing heaps of other stuff, like working at the expo and having community like connections and that, you know. And a big highlight for me a few months ago was down at Motatapu, the running event, and to greet the guy that you know got he got last on the run, like the final person across. Wow. And it was like real inspiring, you know.
Wow.
Like, and he, you know, however long it had taken him, and it was like he came across the line and, you know, he was like 71, and he's like 71's not an old age.
No.
But he'd just climbed these mountains, you know, and he came out and his daughter and wife were there. And
Wow.
like for me, that was like a real buzz, you know, to be like, you know, shake this guy's hand and have a yarn to him, and then, you know, help him walk him to the car. And yeah, it was cool. Like I enjoy those kind of things.
Yeah.
You know,
cool.
so yeah, Hawke's Bay Marathon's the next one. So we'll do that, or JD Sports next week, and then Hawke's Bay Marathon. So up there for those 2 events, and then so it'll take a step back for winter, and I guess just batten down the hatches for the gym. And we've got a few community events popping up at the gym, which we'll have on, and then start training for that high rocks comp, really. And then, yeah, then next thing will be in the other side of winter, you know, and then we start to really ramp up our events and running program and stuff like that going into next summer. But yeah, that's really it, really.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So what's it called? Joggers Club.
The Jog Squad.
Jog Squad.
Jog Squad,
yeah.
Right, so,
Billboard on Wells Street, right?
The Wells Street one is actually an old, the Joggers Club is the old Jog Squad. So used to be affiliated with Sterling Sports for one season. And when we did that, they had a billboard up over there. It used to be, I think it was called, I can't remember if it was 77, whatever their number was on Wells Street, the Sharks Tooth Roof. And they put the sign up, and then it's still been there.
Still there?
But that hasn't been since like 2021.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's still there now. I saw it the other day.
Oh, how good.
Yeah, and so it's still, it's kind of got the Hiit Squad logos on it too. So it's but that was our joint brand with Sterling Sports. So they've actually got a clothing brand under that banner now called the Joggers Club. They make like t-shirts and that.
Oh, right.
Just plain sort of stuff. But and then the run group kind of just dissolved.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah,
but then
cool.
the Jog Squad kind of fits with the Hiit Squad more, and then same branding, just
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it seems like these collaborations and joint ventures, it seems like they're a bit more open, like easier going now.
Yeah, way easier. And also
brands are into it, you know, like
and run groups and like in general blowing up, you know, like they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's the biggest thing. Like, you know, you can go anywhere. Like, you know, there's a Tuesday night run group, there's a Wednesday night run group, there's a Thursday morning. Like they're all around town. And like who would have thought, you know?
Well, I mean, a mate of mine and we started one on Monday.
I saw it.
Yeah, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Rain or shine.
Yeah. So like the thing is though, like, you know, 4 years ago you would have said running. Running.
Running.
Yeah,
it wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
right?
nah. And it was like, I think now this is a big flow-on effect from COVID, because so many people were like, what can I do in COVID? They started running, and then they're like, cool. Like maybe about in the last 12 months, people were like, cool, I need to do a half marathon. So it's people like, perfect, I've done the Queenstown or the Auckland or whatever. And then now there's like run groups everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
I went to one in Auckland, the 445.
Oh, yeah, huge.
Have you been to that?
No, I haven't.
Huge.
Massive.
Yeah.
And I always see it, and I'm like, shit, there's a lot of people there.
It's like a race event.
Yeah.
It was.
And because I had mates over in Aussie, like similar, and they do it, it's like the run, sip, and dip, and that's what they call it. One dip, sip, and then they do it too, like 4:45 or 4:40 and 5 in the morning, and they go out for a run, and then they do go for an ocean dip, and then straight in for a like coffee and croissant, you know. And I'm like,
cool.
That's cool though, but that's a community thing. You know, and that's when it can be exciting now, right? And we've got a few runners that come to us at the Jog Squad that go to other run groups. And it's like, we're not like, hey, we're exclusive. No. It's like people just want to do it. Like people love running. But our whole reason we started our run club was to actually keep our members happy, because we had so many members go, hey, I want to do a marathon or a half marathon, because that's like a bucket list item for most, I guess, 20 to 30-year-olds in Christchurch or, you know, in New Zealand. And I was like, we want to keep them as a member. So if they can do our twice-a-week membership and then come to our run program twice a week.
Sweet.
Yeah, then we keep them in our 4 walls as well. So,
nice.
But then now, like, running's blowing up, so we get lots of people that aren't members too. So
Yeah. What is the Hawke's Bay one?
Hawke's Bay Marathon, that's in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So it's amazing. So it's like, amazing, like such a great event. I did it last year. I actually did the walk last year.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had the concussion. I got up there and I was like, I did the shakeout run, but amazing. And it finishes at Elephant Hill, which is the winery.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it goes, obviously there's the full half and the 10K, and it's like amazing, like Hawke's Bay weather. You know, you get off the plane, it's like a different climate.
Yeah,
you're
nice.
like, oh, this is not Christchurch.
This is so good.
And it was awesome last year. Such a vibe, and they have like a big finish line vibe. You know, like a band playing. It's at the winery, and so that's the last event we'll do this year. So we kind of we didn't really try and promote it. We kind of did a little bit with our Jog Squad program, saying if those, you know, lots of people are actually staying on to do at the destination, being not Christchurch, but staying on for the 4 weeks. So that's why the skedaddle and the weekend kind of, you know, filtered into that people, if they did want to train on after our program finished, then Yeah, Hawke's Bay, cool event though. Like,
Yeah, cool.
yeah, but there's quite a few. Like, I think it's the St Clair half. I think it might even be this weekend.
Yes.
Up in Blenheim, but you don't hear much about that anymore. Like, it's not unless you're kind of in those channels.
I guess so. Yeah,
you know,
did it a few years ago, but you're right. I haven't heard about it.
Yeah,
recently either.
but it's like if you are on that sponsored like posts or whatever, if you start looking it up, next thing you'll be like, you Google it when next thing your phone's
right
it's probably
now,
good.
yeah.
It's the next thing you see.
Bombarded,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But and then there's cool ones too. Like I looked at there's some other running events which I might look to do. Is I did the whale run up in Kaikoura.
Oh yeah,
and I did that that was actually my knee blow about 3 years ago. But I'd love to go back for that.
Yeah,
it was amazing, like a local event, and it's like all money raised is for the school.
Yeah,
like
nice.
the community. Like, and I was like, things like that. It's like it's not a money maker. It's just about making like fundraising, right? Basically, and there's all the kids baking on the stalls. And
that's
like,
cool.
Like quite cool. But yeah,
I like that. Yeah, the Westport one's really good.
Oh yeah,
the Buller.
Buller.
Yeah.
That always falls on a bad weekend, Waitangi weekend, usually around coast to coast.
And the coast to coast weekend. It's weird, right?
Oh,
I don't know.
No one communicates.
Nah. Two kind of similar-ish events.
They're at a similar location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No sense.
Have you done the Buller?
Yeah. Done it a few times actually. Yeah.
Oh, I've never actually done it, so
yeah, that was the first fall I did, and then I think I've done the half once or twice as well. But yeah, big bugs over there.
Keep the long sleeves on
for sure. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, cool, man. Nice. All right. Well, that's good, man.
Yeah.
Wicked sitting down with you.
Nice. Well, thanks for having me on.
Man, appreciate it. Yeah, some good energy there. So good.
No, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, we'll link your stuff below, but as we say, it's a wicked workout. It's a good time. It's a good vibe. So go check it out.